There is a story unfolding right now in the Saudi desert that most headlines are getting wrong. They're calling it a missile strike. They're counting damaged planes. They're tracking explosions on runways. But the real story isn't the explosion. It is what the explosion revealed, about how this war is being fought. About what Iran has demonstrated to every military planner watching. About an assumption that has quietly held modern air warfare together for decades. That just broke. Let's talk about Prince Sultan Air Base. And let's talk about why. Right now, it is the most important piece of ground in this entire conflict. Here is what we know, confirmed. Prince Sultan Air Base, located roughly 100 kilometers southeast of Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia's Al-Kharj region, came under Iranian ballistic missile attack. The Wall Street Journal, citing US officials, reported that 5 American Air Force refueling aircraft were damaged on the ground. Not destroyed, damaged. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry confirmed intercepting 6 ballistic missiles targeting the base. They say all 6 were intercepted and destroyed. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command, U.S. CENTCOM, publicly acknowledged the confirmed destruction of 1 KC-135 tanker aircraft, with 4 U.S. service members killed on board. Other aircraft, they said. Iranian state media claimed far more destruction, including an F-35, 3 F-16 fighters, and other aircraft severely damaged. Neither the US nor Saudi Arabia has confirmed those specific claims. Whether Iran destroyed 1 aircraft or 10, something important happened at Prince Sultan. And to understand what, you first need to understand what this base actually is. Prince Sultan Air Base is not just a large airfield with long runways and American flags. It is the operational backbone of the entire American air campaign in this theater. The U.S. significantly expanded its footprint there beginning around 2019 as tensions with Iran escalated. By the time this conflict started, Prince Sultan was a primary hub, hosting tanker aircraft surveillance platforms, stealth fighters and conventional strike jets, all operating together as an integrated system. To understand why that matters, you need to understand one category of aircraft in particular, the ones the cameras never show, the ones that never appear in recruitment videos. The ones that don't carry bombs and don't make the highlight reels. The KC-135 Stratotanker. Flying gas stations, and they are everything. Modern air warfare has a dirty secret. The fighter jet, the F-35, the F-16, the symbols of air supremacy, cannot do what it does alone. A fighter jet leaving a Gulf base to strike targets deep inside Iran cannot carry enough fuel to get there, execute the mission, and come home safely. It needs to meet another aircraft mid-flight, receive a fuel transfer through a refueling boom, and then continue the mission. That is what the KC-135 does. That is what the KC-46 Pegasus does. They extend the geometric reach of every strike aircraft in the theater. Without them, aircraft must operate much closer to home. It's become harder to reach. Mission times shrink. The number of daily sorties, the rhythm of the entire air campaign begins to drop. For over 6 decades across Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and every major U.S. air campaign in between, these aircraft have operated under one consistent assumption. They are safe. They fly behind the front lines, protected by distance, by air superiority, by the presumption that the enemy simply cannot reach them. That assumption just took a missile strike. The aircraft reportedly hit at Prince Sultan weren't flying. They weren't in combat. They were parked on the ground, already integrated into ongoing operations, deployed and ready for the next mission cycle. And Iranian missiles found them. The KC-135s are not glamorous. They are not the story anyone wants to tell. But damage them, relocate them, force them further from the front. Routes must be redrawn, fuel calculations rewritten. Pilots spend more time in the air just reaching refueling points. And complexity, in warfare, is the enemy of tempo. Now here is where the story gets serious. Because what happened at Prince Sultan didn't happen in isolation. The sequence of Iranian strikes over the course of this conflict. And a pattern emerges. Not random attacks. Not chaos, but a deliberate layered targeting logic. First, air defense. Early strikes degraded Patriot radar systems and missile defense architecture over Gulf bases. This reduced the protection shielding the aircraft and personnel on those runways, and lowered the cost Iran would pay for every subsequent strike. Second, the tankers. Attacking the KC-135S at Prince Sultan wasn't about destroying the aircraft. It was about demonstrating that forward-deployed support infrastructure is reachable. Third, the E-3 Sentry aircraft. Reportedly 4 of them destroyed across 2 countries within 18 hours. The E-3 is the airborne brain of an integrated air operation, hundreds of aircraft simultaneously, feeding pilots real-time threat data, coordinating electronic warfare to the second. Lose the E-3S and every aircraft still flying becomes an individual, capable on its own, but no longer part of a coordinated, mutually supporting network. And then, the fighters themselves. Whether or not Iran's specific claims about the F-35 and F-16s hold up to verification, Sultan has been struck repeatedly at the hub from which all of this operated. This is not a target list assembled from opportunity. This is a target list assembled from operational logic. Air defense first. Then coordination. Then the aircraft at the hub. Someone planned this in sequence. Now, intellectual honesty matters here. Iran's battle damage claims must be treated as claims. The IRGC has a well-documented history of inflating strike results for domestic messaging and regional psychological effect. Their announcements are produced by the same apparatus responsible for presenting the Islamic Republic favorably to its own people. The U.S. has officially confirmed 1 KC-135 destroyed and 4 service members killed. Saudi Arabia confirmed intercepting 6 missiles. The F-35 claim, the F-16 count. None of that is independently verified. Here is what remains true even after applying maximum skepticism. The strikes were precise enough to target parking aprons hosting the most protected aircraft in the American inventory. That targeting demonstration happened, regardless of the exact damage count. The question that matters isn't whether 1 F-35 or 2 burned on that runway. The question is how Iran continues to locate, target, and strike assets that American operational security is specifically designed to conceal and protect. That question gets harder, not easier. As the damage claims are debated, Iran's framing of these strikes is being broadcast to 3 different audiences simultaneously, and each is hearing a different message. For Iran's domestic audience, the revolution is defended. The missiles are flying. The enemy is paying a cost. Straightforward. For Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, Iran didn't describe Prince Sultan as a military target. They called it the origin of attacks against the Islamic homeland. That language is directed at Riyadh with precision. It tells every Gulf state hosting American forces that in Iran's declared logic, the host nation and the American base are the same target category. Not neutrality. Participation. Saudi Arabia has to sit with that framing while its runways absorb Iranian missile strikes. And for Moscow and Beijing, no translation needed. Russia's military analysts are documenting the targeting precision required to strike a forward-based F-35. China's defense planners are studying what forward-deployed American support infrastructure looks like when it becomes a target. They are not watching this conflict as observers, watching it as students. Here is the larger lesson that strategists around the world are quietly absorbing right now. The most powerful air force in the world is only as powerful as the network holding it together. The fighters, the stealth jets, the precision weapons, they are the blade. But the tankers, the surveillance aircraft, the command and control platforms, the forward bases. Those are the gears, and when you attack the gears, you don't have to destroy the blade. You just have to slow the machine. What happened at Prince Sultan may not decide this war. Aircraft are being repaired. The U.S. Air Force has reserves, redundancy, and the capacity to adapt. Something has shifted, not on the battlefield overnight, but in the assumptions underneath it. The assets once considered safely in the background are now visible. The infrastructure once protected by distance is now within reach, and in planning rooms across the world. Not just in Washington and Riyadh, but in Moscow, Beijing, every capital watching this conflict closely. The maps are being redrawn. Because in war, the first demonstration is rarely the last.